Hello, and welcome to Anime Audio Commentary. Today I'll be commenting on Episode 7 of Spy Family Season 2. If you'd like to watch along, then start watching now. So last we left off, Yor was about to cause a scene with this guy here. Now, the unfortunate part is that they are still in public, you know. That's not exactly a good sort of place to have a big knockout fight. And I guess worse yet, Anya's around too. Understandably, she wants to help Yor, but, you know, Mortal combat like this is no place for a child. So, you know, it's only natural that with a crowd gathering around that somebody would likely call security and, in turn, cause an even greater panic. So, you know, this is why Anya's power really comes in handy. She can say just the right thing. And fortunately, it seems like one of those instances where when somebody sort of breaks the silence, everybody just kind of goes along with it. You know, it's kind of easier to believe, I guess, that these two are acrobats rather than actual assassins trying to kill each other. And, you know, the other thing I really like is that Yor just sort of assumes that Anya doesn't recognize her. And, yeah, I don't know if that's really plausible, because I'm pretty sure Yor's worn clothing like that before in view of the public, or like where Anya would have seen her. But at the same time, you know, a mask isn't much of a disguise either. It's one of those things where in like superhero comics, you know, a mask fixes everything, but like realistically, how much would it really do? So it seems like, against all odds, this crowd here is actually kind of a good thing for Yor. If only because that means this guy has to kill everybody if he wants to maintain operational security. And that's, you know, that's a far less viable strategy than one would generally want to go for. So it's nice that Yor finally got her act together. And I think the music is a nice touch, really sort of demonstrating to us, the audience, that this is a circus performance. You know, that was a really rather elegant way of finishing things. You know, maybe Anya's learned the wrong lesson. That, you know, maybe I should listen to Yor a little more. You know, otherwise she might kill me. Oh dear. So, it's probably for the best that Anya just sort of keeps the whole thing under wraps, because I'd imagine a cruise ship worker would know that there was no performance. Maybe they wouldn't spread that around and raise that up the chain of command, but probably better not to risk it. Oh dear. So Twilight, Lloyd, he's trying his best, but the poor guy, he's trying a little too hard, unfortunately. I think this is one of those things where book learning really won't help you at all. You can read all the parenting books you want, but they really won't help you all that much, as Lloyd is learning the hard way. Granted, most of the situation he's in is the result of Anya basically trying to distract him. So we already sort of know that this guy is up to no good. But, okay. So he's clearly, he clearly knows his perfume, I guess. Supposedly the idea here is that he can identify his targets based on perfume. Which, it's not entirely implausible, but, in a cruise ship with however many hundreds of people packed into it, that's, it's gotta be kind of difficult, I would imagine. So if things weren't tense enough before, there's a very clear timeline that everybody's working on. The defection's going to occur soon, and if they want to prevent that, then they're really going to have to find him and do the deed, which, knowing that yours involved, it's not going to be easy for anyone. So it seems like, it's not exactly clear what those guys are doing, whether or not they're, assassins in their own right, but, it seems like there's a whole bunch of people after this poor couple, and I guess the saving grace is that they're all sort of working at cross purposes. Now, I can really relate with Anya here. I'm not somebody who stays up late or anything like that, but, I remember those days, wanting to stay up late and do stuff, but being too small and too tired to do anything. It's rather unfortunate because only Anya's got, a true grasp of what's going on here, and I guess the ability to perceive what's going on and sort of subtly help. So this poor guy, I don't think he quite realizes exactly what he had gotten into. I mean, complaining about assassins just sort of shooting at them. Kind of par for the course, I would imagine. Yeah, so there's trouble in paradise, unfortunately. But I guess that's just kind of how it goes. Although, this guy, despite being kind of cowardly, I guess he does have a reasonable motivation. I can sort of read between the lines. And this is something of a common theme. People growing up in the post-war. We don't exactly have the details on what the war was, but we do know that things got leveled pretty badly and there's lots of suffering and misery going around. And I guess a lot of people had formative experiences in those days. I mean, this guy here, he remembers a loaf of bread distinctly. And, given what the post-war was depicted as being, that's kind of understandable. I mean, lest we forget, Lloyd's doing what he's doing because of similar experiences. Granted, we haven't expanded on them too much, but we do know that he was probably about the same age as this guy was depicted in the post-war. So I guess it's nice they have a bit of a reprieve, No more assassins right now. So, fortunately they're not taking too much for granted. Yours on guard duty. But that said, I don't think they quite realize how tenuous a position they're in. I mean, good on that guy, at least. He's going around to hunt assassins. That'll make things easier. Especially if you can get the drop on some unsuspecting assassins, take them out of the running. Alright, so that's an interesting little bit of information that the war is only 10 years in the past. So that sort of indicates to me that Twilight, he's not that old, really. He's got to be mid-20s or something, because I can't imagine in the flashback when he was wandering through the bombed out husk of his hometown, he couldn't have been more than 12 or something like that. Weird to think that he's younger than me, supposedly. I mean, assuming the war was exactly 10 years ago. Yeah, yours making a good point. You should rest up, but at the same time, in that position, I don't think I could possibly relax and get any meaningful rest if I understood that my life was at threat. And furthermore, I don't think I could manage in yours position either, staying up, standing guard. I feel like I'd get drowsy after a while. I mean, to her credit, she has a sort of, Zen-like composure. Which, I guess if you understand meditation and things like that, that might be helpful. Yeah, this strikes me as not a good sign necessarily, that yours mind's kind of wandering. Sure, she's thinking about Lloyd and Anya, and we all know she's very fond of them. But at the same time, you have to keep your mind on the job. I think that yours probably being a little too hard on herself. She doesn't know it, and I guess she doesn't really have any proof to the contrary, but I don't think the whole Forger family would go up in smoke if she were wounded and her cover were blown. I think if nothing else, I mean, obviously Anya would accept her forthright, but Lloyd, if nothing else, I think he would be tactful enough not to blow things up. So, this is the real story, I think, following Frankie around as he dog sits. The poor guy. I mean, the ironclad rule of Frankie is that he never wins in the end, so, although he is spending time with this woman in the park, as he walks the dog, this isn't gonna last, the poor guy. It's only a matter of time before he blows it. So I'm thinking this is going to be interesting, what is Twilight going to be musing on here? I mean, surely he's not suspecting something of the subterfuge going on. You know, as it turns out, he's not worried about potential assassination or anything like that. In fact, he's suffering with child rearing and all the troubles that come along with that. You know, that's kind of an interesting point, that the fear of the unknown is sort of the root cause of the fear of everything else. And I guess, right now, there are a few things that are more unknown than the inner workings of Anya's mind, especially to Lloyd. Like, I mean, the poor guy so far, he hasn't really been able to catch a break. You know, he might be, being a little self-aggrandizing here with the comparisons he's drawing. I mean, I understand that getting Anya into, the Imperial Scholarship, that's a matter of national security and all that. But, like, cracking the code of Anya and all that, that's not, you know, that's not rocket science. So it's interesting that the director's sort of given those two guys the day off. You know, I don't think they're assassins. I think, if anything, they're probably being cut loose to serve as bait, essentially. You know, the assassins know that they're likely involved, but if they're not actually around the family, then I guess it doesn't really matter. So Anya's thinking in terms of three-dimensional chess here. You know, she needs to help Yor, but at the same time, she can't really bring Lloyd into the fold lest she revealed all sorts of secrets. So naturally, the only solution is to give him the slip. And, I think this is one of those exercises in how children think compared to how adults think. You know, Anya thinks that adults love golf, therefore he'll become engrossed in the sport, and she can sneak off. But, you know, as it turns out, he's too good at golfing for that to be an issue. And you know what? Golf is, it's something alright, you know. It's definitely frustrating if you're trying to putt and you keep screwing up. You know, there's that stereotype about people hurling their golf clubs for a reason. So, Lloyd is thinking that, you know, maybe golf could be a good experience, but at the same time, Anya has completely screwed up her own plan. You know, she was too engrossed in golf herself. You know, I think the root of the problem here is that Anya is basically picking activities that she also enjoys. You know, Lloyd likes reading and gathering information, so he might, you know, get lost in a book, but it turns out she likes reading comics too. And you know, that's something else too, like puzzles. You know, I'd imagine puzzles are very difficult for a kid, but not to the same degree as they are to an adult. So there's an interesting dichotomy going on, basically. Anya's had a great day, by any objective measure, but she hasn't been able to achieve her true goal of helping Yor. And Lloyd, the poor guy, like, he doesn't know what's going on. I guess Anya, to her credit, seeing as how she can read minds, she now knows that this is actually an issue. And, she can actually say the right thing. I am having fun. And I think that is a nice touch, that she misses Yor, because it's undoubtedly true, but it's also sort of, I guess, hinting at the truth of the matter, that she does want to help Yor. So, it does seem like a nice innocent interaction. Oh, do you know where Mama is? And it turns out Lloyd doesn't, because, she's busy doing stuff. But I guess at the same time, I don't think she'd exactly have time to stop and pick up a message. So now things are getting really serious. All sorts of people are going out onto the deck. There's going to be fireworks too, which, might provide a little bit of a handy cover for some would-be assassins. Alright, so it's go time. The rendezvous ship is here, meaning if they can offload these people, then everything's good. But at the same time, all the assassins, they're getting ready to make their move, because, this is their last opportunity. And unfortunately, everybody's still sort of keeping tabs on everybody else. So I guess the assassins are thinking logically about this. There is some sort of signal. They don't know what it is. They don't know what it means. So they're, preparing to intercept and do everything necessary to achieve their goal. Alright, well that's it for this episode. If you've enjoyed it, then by all means, tune in for the next one. See you, Space Cowboy.